this isn't a new thing, right? Schools have always, in the United States, prepared populations, different populations differentially, for low-wage work, for under or unemployment, everything from the First Nations or Native American residential schooling movement to apartheid schooling in the United States. So I think that getting that sense of like, one, this is not a new thing, and two, wow, look at all these like things that are like structures that are in place that are really pushing young people out of school. My name is Erica Miners, and my day job is a professor at a local public open access university, and I work primarily with teachers who are getting certified to work in public schools, but I also teach women's studies classes and sociology classes at my day job, and then I also run and teach at a high school for people coming out of prisons and jails in Chicago. I've been doing that for about 10 years. From the first perspective, which is working with teachers, I think that even the language of push-out, right, versus dropout is often, the first sort of learning moment for a lot of folks, because I think still people are operating on the assumption that, well, those kids that aren't in school dropped out, so they're, deficient, losers, they couldn't cut it, they're problems, right? So really getting the structural analysis into people about the reasons why young people are pushed out of school, everything from sexual violence to hallway harassment for gender non-conforming kids, to pregnancy, to hyper police surveillance in schools, to zero tolerance policies. And I think that once teachers and folks in schools have that kind of more layered structural analysis, then they see, okay, it's not dropouts, right? Like we see this, right? This push-out system. And from the other end, from working in many capacities as an anti-prison organizer and as somebody who has worked in a lot of reentry programs or programs that are dealing with people coming out of prisons and jails, I see the impact of kind of the end of the pipeline, for lack of a better term, of people who have been pushed out. So I see a lot of people who are who've been moved through the system and are realizing at 30, 40, that you can't get a job at the local fast food joint if you don't have a high school diploma. So I see that, and our program really works to make educational opportunities for people who have been pushed out of public schools. First of all, I'm excited it's happening. I think the campaign this week is important. I think that conversations and organizing is central. And I think the difficulty is like getting teachers to think about how to plug in, like what can I do? Because I think the problem seems so overwhelming that the impulse is to just, I can shut my classroom door, I can have a private practice inside my classroom, I can make things okay in here. And I think that yes, that's one partial response, but it's also really, really important to make connections to build structural changes. Discipline, I think that the discussions that we have in schools around discipline, because working with teachers, I think at the end of the day, often the discussion is, I need some kind of discipline model, right? I need discipline in my classroom or order. And I think that that's not just a classroom problem, that's a community problem and a nation problem. How do we respond to violence in ways that are productive and restorative and transformative instead of isolation, shame, and abandonment? So I think trying to think about different ways to understand discipline and justice, and offering and really, really pushing to really challenge people ideologically. Because I think that what we don't want is like a nicer version of discipline, nicer detentions, and just the right people pushed out of school, right? I think we want to really look at some of the ideological or the underpinnings for why this happens.